Alright, well, it's another session of the 8th grade project here. We're really just trying to get this thing finished up. Due dates are coming. Artwork has to be completed by that time. And so we've done a lot of planning. I've been checking out the video as it over the days that this been project has been in progress, and it's come a long ways. And so without much further delay, I guess we should spend the time simply reviewing quickly that this was the concept piece that I started with. What yours looks like may be different somewhat. Furthermore, this was the rubric, I suppose, the parameters for the project, that it had to include all of the various elements of art, principles of design, and have these 5 concepts represented and put together in something that would resemble a flag or a banner that would represent you and what you think is important to you. And that is how I have arrived at this. If you've been watching the videos, you are aware of how this was produced. If you haven't, I recommend you go back and review them. If you have any questions about a lot of what has been going on with these projects, you should go and review the videos. Everything will be answered in those videos. Otherwise, I will be taking hundreds of questions, the same questions over and over. So I would recommend you do that. There will be a course quizzing coming up soon associated with the end of this project, and reviews of the notes as well. So without any further delay, let's just get going here. I did some research on my flags. I think I said this yesterday. So the flag down here of Ireland is green, white, and orange. So I'm going to go with, let's see, probably this jade green color, simply because I use that jade green up here, and so I think it would be appropriate to have that kind of mimicked down here somewhere. And when I looked at the flag of Ireland, it was not like a real deep green like this true green right here. So it looks like I've got some left on that. So without any further delay, I'm going to start coloring it in. And then it'll be orange on the opposite side of this flag. Now this simply represents the ethnic heritage of my parents. In this case, it would be on my mother's side. And on my mother's side, the family is the Kellys, and they have descended from Irish immigrants. And so somehow they found their way to the hills of Tennessee. I don't know, but they did. And that's where my mother was born and raised, and has returned to in her elder years. Alright, and so now, I did also discover something about my father's side of the family, which is evidently from southern France. And so, having done the border in red before I did my research, I kind of put myself into a bit of a dilemma that I'm going to have to straighten out. But that would be that this side of this flag is also red. So, technically, the border that I've been doing the last couple of sessions is red orange, so it almost looks red, kind of a scarlet or a vermilion color of a variation of red. So I might be able to get away with a deep red like a mahogany, or perhaps even just a regular true Crayola red. You would notice that there is a difference between those two colors, but not much of one. So I'm still contemplating what to do with that while I color in the flag of Ireland, which didn't have any conflicts with my red-orange border. So the orange I'm going to use should show up brightly against it. And then once I'm done with these flags, it looks like it's time to start just a lot of the interior detail work. So I'm going to be looking for the largest areas and constantly just working my way down to the smaller areas. And I found that's a pretty good approach to making complicated art. This is complicated art, and I've seen some of the photographs of some of your drawings, and they may be more complicated than my piece of artwork. And so You have to really finish the large areas first, or it will just be a real chore to do that after you become mentally and physically exhausted from doing all the details. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm addressing all of my little areas of imperfection, opacity. Okay, I've got a pencil in here with an eraser on it. I'm going to erase this. I will color that white. I'm just not going to do it right at this moment. But I will clean it up and brighten it a bit. You know what? I don't have my slip sheet underneath my hand. It's a wonder I haven't already smeared something up severely. So, and look, see, that's how dirty the thing gets to begin with, if you can see that. So that would be filth just off of your hands and being transferred to the top of this as it slides around. So I'm going to retire that one and get a new one. And they're just index cards is what I use. However, you know, what you use is up to you. Okay, I got that cleaned up, putting this away. Let's go after the one color that has not been used yet, and it's a yellow-orange, kind of a saffron color here. And so let's get this out of here. And I'm going to do my best to try to clean up some of that shadow mark from where I put my my flag breaking through into the border there a bit. I always thought that was an interesting visual feature when things don't really, you know, it's a little unruly when it goes outside the border. Okay, let's see, cover this up so I can get a good angle on it. Alright, so no music this time around, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. It's pretty early. And just listening to the birds outside the window. So I got one of the windows open here in the production lab where all of this happens at and is put out to you on an everyday basis. My goal is for you to be able to make the same amount of progress in each day that you have seen being made on these videos. And each day, that's about 38 minutes or so. It's I've been setting the timer to 38 minutes, and so sometimes we go a little longer than that, because I hate to stop coloring on something or drawing right in the middle of when you're really in that flow state and everything is working for you. 38 minutes is not much time. Now in a 43-minute class, that's about all the time you're going to be able to get done and still not have to leave the room in a panic to get to your next class. But in a 53-minute class, that 38 minutes is a little short, so you know, it needs to be a happy medium in there somewhere. But currently we're doing the 43-minute class, but in the future we may have a lengthier production time. So I would guess that if there is a change to a 53-minute class, then that would give us about 48 minutes of production, actually adding about 10 minutes to each class period. And then over the course of one school week, that would add up to an additional class period. So over the course of 9 weeks, that would add basically 9 sessions to the quarter, just by changing the time. So that is maybe a good development, and we would get much more production time in the classroom. However, it probably would reduce the number of classes, so because the number of classes would be fewer, the numbers of students in those classes will probably go up. So that's something to think about. It has its advantages and drawbacks. Okay, that looks pretty good. The flag of Ireland, waving proud there. Now I'm going to go up here and do the flag of France. And for this, I'm going to choose the actual royal blue that I use for the 6th graders. If I can find it in my cup. It appears to be pretty short. That's violet purple. I have to find it in here. There it is, hiding. Maybe one of the shortest in the stack. That's it. Alright, put my cup of colored pencils over there. I'm going to have to use this sparingly. There's not much of it left, and it may be required for some other project, so I'm going to clean out my blue. Kind of trim up around this too. It's got some straight pencil markings in there. I'll be very careful. See, this would be a great time to use this little device, if I can get it, called an eraser shield, so that you only erase the portions of it that you're trying to erase. So see, I don't want to erase any of that black colored pencil, so I lay my eraser shield in such a manner so that I could erase through the little groove and not touch any of the other information that I'm trying to preserve. See, so an eraser shield's a good thing. You can get them in an office supply store. They're pretty cool. Plus, you can use them as patterns. Alright, my blue is ready to go here. And red on the other side. Now, I have no idea what these colors represent. We would have to look that kind of thing up. These in these flags of Ireland and the flag of France. But on my father's side, my uncles all have French names and are named after Catholic saints and such. So I guess that's the connection there. That's all I really know about them. So there's records are kind of sparse from that side of the family. And my grandmother has been deceased for many, many years now, and so it would be difficult to find that information out. Same with my father, and my grandmother on my mother's side has been deceased for many, many years. But I do have access to numerous people from my mother's side of the family. So she had a large family, and I have aunts and uncles still that can tell me a lot of things about the old days in the hills when my mother was a child and my aunts and uncles were children also. But they're getting pretty elderly. Okay, this is pretty tight work in here with the blue against the black. Don't want to smear it, so it takes a great deal of focus and control. My camera is flashing at me. I don't like the looks. I don't like that. Okay, well, it's starting to work. This colored pencil is so waxy that it's shiny, and it's kind of difficult to see sometimes because of the reflection off of the surface of the colored pencil. Okay, let's get around on a better angle here on this. Alright, this is looking pretty good now. And this is just my ideas. I've noticed that on some of the photographs that have been sent to me by the students of the progress of their work, they've got some different ideas, and I've seen people take my layout idea here and actually go with it in a slightly different direction, and I think that's kind of neat too. So kind of the fusion project there, where you use a little bit of my approach and add a little bit of something new and interesting and different to it with your approach, something we call creativity in art. Alright, now this is starting to work. So I hold my paper down too sometimes like this, just so, because the shiny surface of the colored pencils on there, it makes it difficult to see it, and so I have to hold it down in such a manner so that I can clearly see the areas I am trying to fill in with the colored pencil. Alright, but you're seeing me make it in real time. This is if you're watching the videos at regular speed. This is how long it takes to plan and create something pretty good. And we usually get, you know, I'd say 8th grade project, sometimes 11, 12 days. 12 days is a lot to spend on a project. Okay, and this is some tight work now. Precision. Alright, that was pretty good. The blue shows up. We haven't used this blue yet. I was kind of shying away from it earlier because I was still using it on the 6th grade project that I was doing on a separate video. But now the 6th grade project, I'm complete with it, and I've got this blue to use now. Same with the red, so I'm going to have to. Now here I am having to figure out what to do with the red. We've got red on red, and I don't really want to outline it. I hate to outline stuff to make it show up. That is just not my way of doing business. Okay, regular red, I guess. Let's test it first. I may put it on a, well, I need to clean this up. And I want to erase it aggressively because I want that line out of there and it doesn't want to come out. And so I'm going to have to use my eraser shield, see? Find that line where I can erase it aggressively and not hurt any other part of the drawing. Okay, well, I don't know if I did it any better or not. Well, I noticed it's a little lighter there, and you probably can notice that too. And I'll do the same thing right here to get the other portion of that line lightened up so it's not visible through the coloring. Okay, alright, that will have to work. When you do your own drawings, I'm drawing kind of heavy-handed with this project so that it is visible to you on the video recording. However, you should really draw light touch, and then when you have to do erasings, it's much easier that way. Okay, let's first of all go to the true red and see if there is enough of a difference to be noticeable. Okay, now this is real Crayola red. Now the question is, will it be visible against that? And I'm going to say, I don't think so. It's not. It's going to look like the same color, and I'm going to refuse to outline it in black because it goes against my methods of doing things. So maybe I'll go with the mahogany, which is not, well, okay, it shows up as red if you put it up against red, doesn't it? Tough choice. Because once I go, I can't go back. I can always go darker, but I can't go lighter. So maybe I'll go with the true red, and I can always go over it with the mahogany. But if I go with mahogany, I'm stuck with it. But it does look nice and red against that. I'm going to go with mahogany. It's probably the right choice anyway, because it does look red against red. Kind of brings out its redness. So that will have to work. It looks brown on the projection screen, but on the actual project it appears to be a deep red color. So I want it to show up against that red-orange border. So So I'm still keeping it red, but I should have probably done my research on the flag color first, and then I would have had probably maybe a little bit better execution of the project, at least in this portion of it. But that's the decision I made, and so now here I am coping with it, and that will just have to be the way it is, because a due date is looming out there for this project, and it's got to be taken care of and ready for presentation, photographing, grading, all of that. If it's an E class, that's how you're going to turn your work in. If this is a makeup class for you, then or one that's being conducted in the physical classroom, then this will be due at some point in time in the real future, and you'll simply just have it ready for inspection on the day that it is due, and grades are assigned and determined. And in the physical classroom, see, it's much easier to communicate that to all the students, because you actually have their attention for brief moments of time where you can say, hey, such and such day, look at the calendar on the classroom calendar, and it tells you a great deal about what's going to be happening. But in this e-learning environment, or if you're doing a makeup lesson, it's a little bit more complicated. That personal interaction is not there, and because of that, it causes some communication issues. Alright, so this portion is starting to also finish up, and I think I might go to the shield next, and the ring that is around the interest circles right here. I had it originally put in gray. I may change my mind on that. I think it all needs to be one color for sure. This mahogany color is kind of getting my attention now too. It would look nice going all the way around all of that. But it's got to be some color that once it passes in front of it, it doesn't disappear with the background. So that's one of the reasons I might be using this mahogany color. Plus I've got a lot of it, and it looks good, I gotta say. Nice, rich, dense red color there. Okay, I'm gonna have to say that's not looking too bad. Now if I were to go to these stripes over here on the shield, would be one place. I could also go to the stripe that goes all the way around this ring, and I am inclined to use this mahogany color in this area, because I think it's really starting to come through nicely, and I think it's an underutilized color in this case. I'm going to do a little bit of taping down here. I've got this flashing is going on because of the surface of the the surface of the drawing. I think it's just moving around a little bit, so I'm going to try to solve that by putting a little scrap of tape underneath it and taping it down there, because this little edge gets lifted up there, see, and that causes it to kind of flash. Alright, if I can get this fixed up here, will all be happening. Alright, here we go. And this one will go, yes, here. Tape that down, so I hope it's flat. I think that's going to work already. Maybe I'll put some down here too to hold it down on the edges. But for now, since I've already kind of made the decision to go with the mahogany, if I go mahogany here, I may actually go with it down here as well, just to kind of give it that sense of color balance, lead you from one to the next. It will definitely have to be sharpened. But see, we're just starting to fill in, at least if you're doing it the way I'm going about this, starting to fill in all of the blank areas, and it just keeps on filling in. That's how it's done. Alright, so I think I will start over here, get my slip sheet out, start up in here. Now originally I was, oh curses, okay, originally I was going to use gray, however I'm the grade just doesn't seem to have a great deal of covering power. I was using it with and you know, that thing snapped off again. I was using it in the 7th grade project, and I just really wasn't getting the opacity I really wanted, so I had to decide to do something else. So that's I figured that out by doing the project for the 7th grade class. Alright, meanwhile, back here at this mahogany. See, I'm wasting all that time sharpening a pencil when I should have been coloring with it. Just greedy. Got greedy. I was reviewing the video here last night of this project and watching it develop, and it's really, what is going on here? It was really fascinating to watch because it was being produced at what I thought was a pretty rapid pace, but right now it doesn't seem to be getting produced at all because I keep breaking my pencil lead. Okay, now I am not being greedy. I've got a, and it's still kind of wobbly there. This poor pencil has been abused. Okay, I'm going to have to just be patient and careful with it, I suppose, and make it work. It wasn't giving me this problem over there on the French flag. Okay, just has to, can't press on it very hard, I suppose, or if I'm going to, it's got to be straight down. Alright, now we're getting somewhere here. You get bogged down every once in a while with the colored pencil issues. Trying to make progress. Next thing you know, all you're doing is sharpening a colored pencil. Ah! What is going on here? Okay, this is really getting on this old man's nerves, ladies and gentlemen. Because I'm not even pressing that hard. And of course now somebody's calling. I wonder who that could be. And see, this pencil lead is still snappy. Well, I'm going to have to probably do some video editing here. Huh. Well, I guess I didn't have a message to leave for me, ladies and gentlemen, so we'll just keep on working here with this mahogany that doesn't seem to really want to work with me. Here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. Now, it's still got a wobbly lead, but I can't just keep sharpening this pencil, so I'm going to press down on it and hopefully it will just keep working until I wear it down. But this is, I'm in some part of this poor pencil that's all busted up. I had the same problem with the violet purple a couple days ago. When I was working on the 7th grade project, as I recall. Alright, well, I like this color, but this particular pencil is kind of giving me fits, so I'm going to have to proceed carefully now. Can't color with any sort of speed and pressure. So I experience a lot of the same problems that the students do when they're trying to make a piece of artwork. You guys constantly complaining about the pencil sharpeners. I get it. I'm dealing with it too. But you got to be persistent, overcome it. You can't just give up and start whining. You know, you could always have your own pencil sharpener if you're really too uptight about it, right? But I'm using the same materials and equipment that I have the students use in the classroom, the physical classroom. So, it's possible to make really good artwork with the materials that we have available. Okay, here we go. That's looking pretty good there. Yeah, it stinks when the phone rings in the middle of making a video, but since it didn't seem to since there didn't seem to be a message associated with it, I guess no harm is done. We just have that. That's what happens when you're doing video lessons like this sometimes. I guess I should mute the phone, huh? Alright, very good. I'm making progress here, even though my lead is skippy. Suspicious. Alright, come on. I can't get that little corner to work for me there this time. There we go. So I want it to be opaque, so now it's kind of hard to go back and really press down on this pencil tip. It'll drive me nuts if I snap it off again. So this is starting to come together. It takes a while to do good work, but it's worth it in the end. That is really showing up very attractively against its background now. Good form. That's how your positive and negative space go together, meaning your subject matter and the background. And a lot of these kinds of projects, sometimes it's difficult to tell where the background begins and the subject matter ends sometimes. And that's a pretty interesting visual experience also. I like to encourage students and other art makers to, you know, try to understand visual perception in people. And by understanding that, you can use that understanding to enhance your artwork so that you will direct people's eyes and minds to the things you want them to see and understand. So art has traditionally been used for propaganda and religious purposes, you know, to try to indoctrinate people to think in a certain way or to remember things a certain way. So artistic images are very powerful in the human mind. Visual images are very powerful in the human mind. And so by understanding how people interact with and view art and the nature of human vision and the nature of human observational habits, you can make artwork that completely intrigues your viewers and makes them want to, forces them in some instance to try to understand what it means. So that's what I think a lot of symbolism does, and hieroglyphics, if you recall those from social studies classes that you might have seen, and runes, which are ancient cryptic types of writings. You always see these, and because of the manner in which they are created, you're like, what does this mean? It forces you to want to interpret it. And that's a good visual image. Catches your attention, makes you want to understand it, or try to understand it at least. Okay, I'm going to say that the that color was a good choice. It shows up really well in contrast to the background of it. Okay, I've got that little scrap of that and that. I should probably not touch my drawing. I say that to the students all the time. So, mahogany. Not a bad color. So it won't be long. I'll finish out a few more of the striping parts here. Over here around the shield, and also on my banner. That's going to be the establishment date, which is my birthday, of my little country or kingdom or representation of myself. And it's on to detailing. So I gotta say, when we first started, I seemed like a 1,000-mile journey, but now it's looking like it might come to a conclusion here. And that, sometimes when you finally finish a piece of artwork and you're like, that you really worked on for so long, it's a little bit anticlimactic, because the next time because then you got to come up with a new idea for something new and move on to the next thing. And so, you know, when you're in a class, there's always another project hanging out there. And when you're doing your own artwork, you know, you explore what you can explore until you kind of run out of ideas, and then that's pretty much it. You move on to the next thing. And so that journey of kind of self-discovery is really important in development of your artistic sensibilities. Oh, that's the bell. I mean, we've been at this for 38 solid minutes here. I'm going to probably try to get a couple more of these done, and then I'm thinking in the next 1 or 2 sessions we're going to do this thing. Is going to be brought to completion here. So I'm going to keep working with my mahogany that's a little broke, and now I can press down on it because it's not going to snap off, I don't think, anymore. But it needs some attention here. I may have to examine it off camera there and see if I can't give it some special sharpening. Alright, yeah, that's showing up great against that green. Shows up good against a lot of colors. So don't forget mahogany in your colored pencil kit. It's not just a good wood, it's also a nice color. I don't know if I'll be able to get all this done in one session here or not, but I'm going to keep driving on with it. When I run out of mahogany colored pencil, I guess that will be the end of my work for this session. And that's getting pretty close. Oh, here we go. Nice. Alright, yeah, that shows up fantastic. So I hope that your production of your project is coming along, you know, good and relatively quickly, and that it will be ready in a few more days to grade. I want to see if I can get one more little piece of the act. Well, see, now that's going to make me want to go all the rest of the way too there, isn't it? See, that's what's going to happen here. That's how it works. Why not get that sense of completion? Sometimes you got to just drive on until you run out of mahogany pencil or you run out of time, one of the two. Here we go. That's looking pretty good.